Presets. Love them or hate them, you cannot live without them. No matter if you just play around over the weekend to relax or hang out, or if you make music at the highest level. The fact is that presets and templates are designed to help you go faster towards your goals. And today, my friend, I share with you my personal template for Amplitube 5. Amore lanzasang now. We break it down, baby. What do you even mean by a template? I know I started by saying preset, but I dropped the word template. So what do I even mean by template? Template, my friend, is basically a starting point. And I know it sounds like it's basically a preset, right? And it is, because basically a preset is just a bunch of settings that you pre-select.
Right.
So in that sense, a template is a preset. But okay, that's enough word salad. We're not politicians or lawyers, right? Right? The difference in my head, and you feel free to tell me in the comments what is your idea of a template and of a preset. But I feel like a preset is something like very specific. Let's say if I want like a metal tone, or like a high gain lead, or like a smooth neo soul tone, a spanky funk tone, maybe some sort of industrial tone, or a jazzy vibe, I would do every single one of those
In a preset.
But a template, my friend. A template is what you would use to make those presets. And I know that like me, maybe you
Hate
going through presets and hearing like the volumes are so different that sometimes you're just like chilling, and sometimes you're like going through like a clean sound and you're like hanging out chilling, and then a super distorted sound is the next preset and you're just like, wow, that was way too much. So anyway, for that reason, I basically created my template that with a little bit of imagination, it's just basically in my head like my amp closet, or like the live room in the studio. Basically anywhere you have your amps and your cabinets and your microphones and everything you need to get killer guitar recordings. And since in the real world that's not my case, I rely on Amplitube 5 to give me that virtual sense of a studio. So of course, I cherry pick a few things and a few settings, and I'm gonna walk you through a few concepts that in my head make a lot of sense about gain staging, tone stacking, and maybe if I remember, I'll talk about like mid-range identity and amplifiers. Or I might need to leave that for a different episode. Either way, let me know in the comment section if that's something that you would care about. So having said that, I'm gonna walk you through every single detail that I deem necessary for you to know so you can make, my friend, your own template that in a certain way it's gonna make your life easier every time you're trying to use Amplitube. But let's stop talking and let me share all these settings with you, and hopefully they help you as much as they help me.
Alright, let's go.
Okay, my friend, here we are, the default state of Amplitube 5. And just like you heard me saying a little while ago, I'm gonna be treating this like it's my studio. So the first thing that I'm gonna do is select my room. And for that, I'm gonna go right here where my cabinet is, here in the bottom section of my screen. And right now, as you can see, we're like on like some sort of like a stage or like a hall, like a concert hall. And you can even see like they have like a guitar case, some sort of like a metallic structure for like the lights or whatever that is. So that's pretty cool. I really like that about Amplitube. But let's do what we came here to do. And let's just select a room. In my case, I really like the large studio. I did a little bit of like a shootout at some point, and I felt like the large studio was the one that, in my opinion, felt the best. But guess what, my friend? That's really not gonna matter because we're gonna mute this. And of course, you can feel free to use it as much as you want. But for the purpose of this template, I'm gonna leave that off because I feel like other AmpSims, they don't really have a room. And sometimes you might feel like, oh, there's more immediacy in that AmpSim. So you trick your brain into thinking that maybe that's better. So we're gonna be doing that today. Alright, so we're gonna choose that large room. And in that large room, we're gonna choose these Condenser 12 microphones because they're amazing microphones, and if you want to know more about them, I encourage you to go look it up on the internet. Alright, for the next few steps, let's get a guitar so we can make a little bit of noise. Today we're gonna be using my PRS SC Custom 2408. So I love this guitar. Okay, so here we are ready with the guitar and my headphones and everything. E chord, everything sounds okay. Let's start by changing this amp, because I don't know about you, but I don't really want to have a high gain amp while we're doing this, especially for the hiss and stuff. So let's just go change it, and let's try to find something like this California Tweed. I don't know, I just really like this amp a lot. And this is what it sounds like. And as you can hear, I have it like right at the edge of breakup. These are like the last settings that I ever used in this amp. And as you can tell, like I'm not afraid to push that bass all the way up and push a little bit of presence or gain. Whatever it is that I need to do, I'm gonna do to get that amp sounding the way I want it to sound. As you can tell, a pretty like nice and like spanky and clean tone, right? But let's keep moving on. So the first thing that we're gonna do is having a little bit of a noise gate. And I want you to pay attention where I'm gonna put it in the chain. Because I feel like most people would be tempted to just like put it around here, but no, we're gonna put it at the very, very beginning. Imagine if I could put it right here, I would put it right here, but I can't. As you can see, let's get it and put it right here at the very beginning of our chain. So I'm gonna start with the threshold, maybe like around here and release all the way down, and maybe the depth, maybe like around 50 or 55, just to get rid of the annoying noise, right? I still hear it a little, right? Not anymore. And that's plenty of space for the guitar to breathe, right? So the next thing that I want to do, and this is mostly going to be useful if you have like a couple guitars or maybe
10 guitars.
Because as we all know, every single guitar has a different kind of pickups and they'll have like different kind of outputs and ratings. And that is going to make our tone change a little bit too much. So in this case, I want to have a compressor so that change is a little bit less drastic. We're still going to hear it. There's still going to be a change, but it's going to be a little bit less drastic. And for this, my friend, my compressor of choice is the 670. Let's go find it right here in the rack section because, of course, it's a studio unit. I find it right here in Dynamics, the 670, and we're going to put it right here. And the first thing that I like to move is that in the time setting, I like to put it all the way in 6, which in a Fairchild is the automatic setting. Then, while listening to the guitar, I'm going to start feeding it a little bit of drive just so that I can hear a little bit of the tone of the compressor. I don't just want to hear it compressing. Things we say, right? All right, let's move on. So here we are. Let me turn this output down because this is crazy. Maybe, I don't know. 3.5 sounds prudent. And now let's push it. So as you can tell, the needle is not even moving, but the sound changed a lot. Let's hear a little bit of like an A and B. So as you can tell, the tone got a little bit sweeter, and I would say like maybe the attack got a little bit softer, which I appreciate with this kind of compressor. And then I'm going to start pushing this threshold down so that I start seeing a little bit of compression. So as you can tell, I'm barely kissing the needle, but I'm hearing a lot more compression than I'm actually looking at in the needle. So I'm going to trust my ears and think that that's enough. And let's hear a little bit of an A-B. And that's why I love that compressor. It just gave it like that little extra sweetness. And it got rid of like the ugliness in the top end, right? Or at least that's what I feel. Let me know what you feel in the comment section. But of course, we sort of like lost something that I'm calling ugly, but maybe that's what you like. But like most things in life, and especially in art, everything is about balance. And the most important thing is what you like. All right, let's go. But what we can do is like, let's say if I feel like what we lost a little bit was like the spank of the tone. And I know that sometimes you're going to want a little bit of extra spank, even though you can argue that this tone is already maybe too spanky. So you can go ahead and tell me in the comment section. And while you're there, remember to like, subscribe, and do all those cool little things that we like to do on YouTube to stay in touch. And enjoy this bossa nova, my friend. I hope your day keeps getting better and better. All right, let's get back to it. Like I was saying, if we lost something, let's get it back with an 1176. I feel like we lost a little bit of the spank. Let's get some spank back. I feel like a 76 is perfect for that. Let's check it out and open the edit page. And the first thing that I'm gonna do is take the output down a lot because I know that I'm gonna need a little bit of space to hit it. And I'm gonna do sort of like an inverted input and output. So as you can tell, I am like hitting it sort of like around here. And I'm gonna do the same thing on the input. More than anything, because I feel like that's like how an 1176 works. Like you usually go like this. So that's what I'm doing. Then I'm gonna turn this release right here all the way fast. And then the attack, I'm gonna make it a little bit slower than it is. That sounds pretty spanky to me. Let's hear it without it. So yeah, I feel like that's a big difference. And honestly, I want to take the moment to say this. I never say this disclaimer, but I hope you're using good headphones or really good speakers, because all these changes that we're talking about are very small for some people. For some other people, they're huge. But in case the changes are way too small for you to like differentiate too much, maybe this is a good time for you to start like training your ear and knowing that these sounds are different. Try to hear what the differences are, because they are very different. Very, very different. So there you go, my friend. I feel like that's how you get the spank that we lost a little bit with the 670 and you gain it back with the 76, right? So let's do a little bit of an A and B with all this like pre section. Let's hear it. I feel like with those two compressors, we get a lot of spank. But remember, my friend, this is an effect compressor, so I would turn it off. And this would be your bass tone. Right, so now let me do a comparison like apples to apples, and I'm gonna have my volume like around maybe 8.5 or 9, and I'm on my neck pickup, single coil sound. And if you feel like you need a little bit more spank,
spank mode activated.
And yes, there's a little bit of volume gain, but let's try to turn it down just a hair. Much better. But let's say that most of that is just like utilitarian. Let's move on to something where there's a little bit more taste involved. Okay, so let's start by selecting overdrives, and let's turn this guy off because this again is just like a flavor type of thing. Like if you feel like you need more spank, let's say like if you're gonna start with a funky riff and you need a little bit of extra spank, it's gonna help you out. We're gonna go here to our pedal section and let's try to choose good distortion. And in this case, I'm gonna go past this little arrow here, and you still have space under here. If you want to do like more like utilitarian stuff, maybe you want to have an EQ there. And I'm going to give you a little bit of an idea. Like, let's say if you have a guitar that is maybe not too expensive and the pickups are a little bit more on the budget side, usually they're still pretty great. The difference is going to be like the mid-range is going to be a little bit out of control. So a good help usually is taking maybe 500, 600 or 700 out of the tone before it ever hits the amp. Sometimes that's going to give you a way better tone. Try it and let me know. Okay, but then after that, we're going to put this mud honey right here. And the first thing that I want you to know is that you have to turn this level down a lot. Unless you really want to push your amp really hard. Which in my case, I don't want. Let me just show you so you know what I'm talking about. Yeah, nobody wants that. So the first thing that you need to do is literally take this down. I want to say maybe like 2, 2.5. Let's hear it in context. So it doesn't get like super louder, but we're gonna still turn the gain down because this kind of overdrive I'm just using to get a little bit of tone, a little bit of an extra lift, and it gets rid of the unwanted like super low before it hits the amp. That sometimes helps you feel like maybe like a tighter sound. All right, my gain is usually maybe like, I don't know, 3.5-ish. And I love how it gets like the mid-range like all crowded, but I still feel like that tone is not the right tone. So let's turn it down. I don't know, maybe like 5-ish. So now that I have my tone, I'm gonna start with the level. I'm gonna turn it up a bit. So yeah, the tone got fatter while losing low end, but it also lost a lot of high end and like that spank. So maybe this is not the right tone if again you're doing like funky. I would maybe just use it without this. But you can consider this like overdrive like a thickifier, right? I feel like it just sounds so good. Beautiful. Next pedal is going to be the super classic Tube Screamer. I feel like it's just such a legend and it just sounds incredible, almost like in everything. You can use this guy on everything from like super high gain tones like metal or whatever you want to do it, or like blues and jazz. This pedal, literally, if you know how to use it, you can use it on every single tone. And that's why I put it in my signal chain forever. And of course, there's that on and off button. You can turn it off, but it's a good thing to have it there. And in this case, I'm not going to be so subtle with this guy, but I'm always going to be watching this level so it's like pretty low so that I'm not overdriving my amp too much.
Right?
I want to hear the pedal distorting, not the pedal distorting while distorting the amp, so I don't even know what the pedal is doing, right? Okay, let's move on and again, level down to, I don't know, maybe 2.5. If that was 2.5, this is probably 2.52. Then my tone again is probably going to be like around half. And then my overdrive again, maybe like 3 something. But since these are 2 different overdrives, it's going to sound very different. Let's hear it. Very similar settings like we had in the other pedal, but this is like a very different sound, right? Maybe the Tube Screamer is a little bit too loud. Let's see what happens. Let's turn it down to maybe 2.3 something. Anyway, this pedal sounds really, really good. Let's hear again the level difference. Anyway, I feel like you have to have this overdrive right here. But then this would be in my category of like always on. Because I feel like a clean is never complete in the context of a song if it doesn't have a little bit of extra hair like that. Right, but now let's go do something I feel like it's probably the most important thing that we're going to do right now in the video. Microphone selection. We're going to, like I said earlier, mute this and mute that. We're going to focus on this first microphone that in this case, it's a 57. The first thing that we're going to check is see where it's located right here. And we see that it's like around the perimeter of like where the ball of the cone meets the rest of the cone, right? I don't know what to call that. You tell me in the comment section. I know you know that. And that is my preferred positions and that is perfect. So I'm going to leave it there, but we're going to go see a few mics and see how they sound. Let's go to this section of Amplitube and maybe let's try recording a loop right here and see what's up. All right, let's just set up a loop. I assume, yep, pull these things. Turn metronome off before we go crazy. And let's see what's up. All right, let's hope this thing works and let's just put the guitar down because my leg is dead. All right, so let's start hearing a couple microphones. You notice how similar the tones are in like these two that most people use for guitars all the time? But the 57 has like the most presence of them all, right? Yeah, I feel like the 57 has like the most character and like the most top end. So it makes sense that a lot of people like that one. But I feel like the Dynamic 20 sounds really nice for this particular guitar tone. In my opinion, has like a very, very pleasant like upper mid-range. And the like very, very mid-range, like 500 to like 800, it's not like super hunky. So I feel like it's really nice microphone for this kind of tone. And then of course, these two don't have like the extra weight. So I feel like they really work well with like a bass. But let's move on to the condenser section. And let's start by checking this bottle. Immediately, the mid-range presence is like way like right here. And again, it feels like super exciting to me compared to like the 57. Let's hear it again. Definitely a bigger sound too. So you have to think about that in like the context of a mix, right? But let's compare with that 20. Yeah, just like the openness of the condenser, but again, that like super heightened mid-range accentuates the like whistleness of the mid-range, which you can definitely fix with an EQ, but I don't know, maybe it's just not the right microphone, right? Okay, let's move on with the condenser 12. And that, my friend, is why I love an 87. I feel like it has like a lot of like that presence and character that a 57 has with the openness of a condenser. And it has like that super nice mid-range, but it doesn't have like the kind of frequencies. You know what I mean? I feel like it's a very nice sounding microphone for an electric guitar. I like the C12 too, but I feel like it's a tiny bit more sterile for my taste, at least in this depiction of it. And let's hear the 67. I feel like the 87 is a little bit more open, and I favor that. But let me know in the comment section, what do you like best? Or even better, put it in your own template. All right, now let's check the ribbon microphones. I sort of feel like the 160 is my favorite because it's like way more balanced. As you can tell, like instantly the 121 has like that mid-range that makes the whistly tones a lot more like prevalent. Like instantly, all I hear is a pay attention. Or even here. I mean, of course, every single sound has it in there. And of course, now that I told you about it, you are not ever gonna not hear it. But what I'm saying is like one of the microphones accentuate that in a way that it sounds like more prevalent and a little bit uglier for my taste. Yeah, I just really like the 87. So in my case, I'm gonna roll with it. You go with the one that you like the most and let me know in the comment section because I really want to know which one you like the best. Now, of course, I like this amp and it has a nice little reverb going on for it. And I have it in like a very like neutral setting. But we all like a little bit of delay and that kind of stuff. So in my case, I like to have one of these Echo Mans right here. Not only because it's a great sound in delay, but it sweetens the tone even further. I like a sweet tone. I like it to be like really spanky. I like the amp to have the capability of being super spanky, but then I like to control it with all my processing so that it's not like an out of control tone, but it has that possibility that when I dig in hard, my amplifier is not all the way cranked up, so it has all the space for me to do that kind of stuff, right? And maybe I'm not the best guitar player, but like I say, I'm a producer, so sometimes I work with the guitar players that are incredible. So having these kind of tools at their disposal, they feel like we don't even need an amp. And that, my friend, is why I love Amplitube. Because I can do that kind of stuff with people that know amplifiers, that know guitars, people that have like super vintage guitars, and they're like, wow, what do you have right there? That sounds incredible. And I'm just like, yeah, it's that like piece of software. And then they go buy Amplitube. I feel like Ik Multimedia needs to give me a cut, man. I've been freaking clouding them for so long now, right? But again, let's move on with this Echo Man. Like I was saying, I like that it sweetens the tone a lot. And you'll hear that right now. Let's turn it down like a lot. And for this tone, I like it on an 8th note, but you might like it on a quarter note or a 16th or whatever you want. But for me right now, an 8th note sounded just right. And now let me show you that sweetness of tone that I'm talking about. It does like this shift in the mid-range that I find very pleasing. It sort of like gets rid of like the ugly things that I don't like, and it gives me a little bit more of what I like. So in my opinion, that's great. That'll be taking care of your delay. But let's say if you like to do something like the edge, something that is more important to have a delay that goes through your settings, I would say I feel like that's a great sound, even though I was playing like super sloppy. And then it has like this brown setting. That it has like that kind of like vintage vibe, right? I really like that tone a lot. So yeah, I would say maybe that's my delay of choice if you want to have it pre-amp. And just like the few finishing touches that I feel like it's important to have would be in the master chain. I always like to add some of this EQ81. First and foremost, because I want to filter out some of the frequencies that I don't really like. And most of my guitars are tuned to like maybe E. So let's say I'm going to use it on 47 Hertz. And what I like to do, I push one couple of notches here and I turn 3 down here. Again, it just opens the tone a little bit more and it gets rid of like the frequencies that I don't really need. Then the other thing that I like to do is like I like to add a saturator. And these are just like simple things that are not really gonna change your tone so much. This is more like to get that little extra edge that it sounds a little bit more pristine, right? Just a tiny bit more. All right, let's hear what I like to do. Usually I try to do that master +6 and then we turn the output and input down and up as much as we need to. Let's hear it. So to me, that's that little extra edge that my tone needed just to have like a little bit of like more like presence and command like attention if you want. So I feel like those are pretty nice moves to have. Alright, my friend, so there you have it. My template for you. And again, the reason why I gave you all this process instead of just like giving you a file, here, this is my preset, is because if I show you how I make my template, I can help you make your own template. Instead of just like pushing my template into you, telling you, this is the best way to sound the best way that you can. But this is the way that I found that is the quickest and the most nimble for me to navigate through like different amps and different pedals and just like manipulate my tone any way I want it, exactly when I need it. Because in the studio environment that I work in, I don't have like 10 minutes and like full attention to try to come up with a tone. No, I'm usually like talking to the artist and we're just like playing little things and I'm just changing stuff and they say, oh, I like that, or what you're doing there, or let's change this, or let's do that. So having this flexibility is what allows me to do all the changes that I need to keep my session going and honestly have a successful session. So again, my friend, I hope that this approach and template works for you in your own productions. And if you feel like your Amplitube is still behaving a little bit different than what it is doing for me, make sure you go watch this video because maybe input gain is the problem and this will help you fix it really quick. I'll be waiting for you, my friend. Thank you so much for being here again.